I think today I didn't really handle myself quite well, mentally, I would say. So basically that's it. I was just making unforced errors. Like, I don't know, I have to check the statistics. I think she won the match not because she played incredible, just because I made all of those mistakes from, like, if you look from the outside, kind of like from an easy balls.
Something quietly shifted in women's tennis overnight. Not a shocking upset or a new champion, but a subtle, almost invisible ripple that spread behind the scenes. Phones stopped ringing. Emails went unanswered. Meetings that once seemed locked in were suddenly up in the air. At the center of the storm was Aryna Sabalenka, a player who, just days earlier, seemed untouchable. Now, questions swirled around her that no sponsor wanted to touch. It all traced back to a single, unforgettable moment on court involving Coco Gauff . A moment fans have replayed endlessly, dissecting every frame, debating every angle. While nothing was officially confirmed, the consequences were already unfolding. And the panic? It didn't start on the court. It started in the boardrooms, where the fallout was felt far before the cameras ever rolled.
Yeah, that hurts. I mean, especially when you've been playing really great tennis during the whole week. You know, you've been playing against a lot of tough opponents, Olympic champion, Iga, you know.
But that moment was just the spark that ignited a much larger fallout. On the surface, the match looked like any other. Two of the biggest names in women's tennis under bright lights, a packed stadium hanging on every rally, and tension that was obvious from the very first serve. Every point felt heavier than the last. Aryna Sabalenka entered as the favorite, riding strong form, while Coco Gauff brought a quiet focus that rarely shows up on the stats sheet but can shift the momentum of a match. As the sets went on, so did the emotions. And then came the instant that everyone still talks about. A missed shot, a fleeting flash of frustration, and a split second where Sabalenka turned away and muttered something under her breath. Initially, it seemed insignificant. Athletes vent constantly, and cameras catch countless tiny flashes of emotion each match. Most fade into memory within minutes, but not this one. Someone clipped it, slowed it down, added captions, and suddenly the conversation wasn't about the score or the strategy. It was about that brief snippet of audio, with fans, analysts, and the tennis world dissecting every word, every intent, and debating whether a line had been crossed that could never be uncrossed.
Congratulations, Coco. When Aryna sat here, she said that she thinks if Iga had won her, she wins the thing today because of how the match turned up. Do you think the way you play today, you beat anyone? It doesn't matter who's on the other side of the net?
She said if Iga won, if I play Iga in the final.
She said that if we go, she didn't mention exactly winning you, but she said if Iga won me, she would win the thing.
I mean, I don't agree with that. I'm here sitting here, and last time I played, no, like to Iga or anything, but I played her and I won in straight sets. So, yeah, I don't think that's a fair thing to say.
Once that clip started circulating, the tension exploded into full-blown chaos almost immediately. Within hours, the short moment had infiltrated every corner of the internet. Tennis pages shared it endlessly. Commentary channels slowed it down frame by frame, and fans everywhere put on headphones, replaying it over and over, each time catching something slightly different. Some insisted they heard something offensive. Others argued it was simply a frustrated mumble, perhaps in her native language, completely taken out of context. The bigger problem? Nobody could agree on what actually happened. And when confusion mixes with emotion, social media doesn't pause for facts. It writes its own narrative, filling in the gaps however it sees fit.
Because anything can really happen. And yeah, honestly, I mean, the way Aryna was playing the last few weeks, she was the favorite to win. So I think she was the best person that I could have played in the final. Her being #1 in the world, she was the best person to play. So I think I got the hardest matchup just if you go off stats alone. Obviously, Iga being a champion here.
Screenshots, subtitles, and audio-enhanced versions of the clip began appearing everywhere. Suddenly, even people who had never watched a full tennis match acted like instant experts, analyzing lip movements, gestures, and body language. Influencers seized the moment for views, news accounts hinted at controversial on-court remarks, and casual fans who normally tuned in only for the finals felt compelled to pick a side. The discussion quickly shifted from sports performance to questions of character, intent, and respect. What truly made the situation spiral wasn't just the clip itself, it was the vacuum around it, no immediate clarification, no statement from either player, and no calming words from the league to set the record straight. In a world where news spreads in minutes, that silence felt deafening. To some, it signaled guilt, to others, confusion. For the people who really matter, sponsors, it meant risk. And risk is exactly what brands avoid at all costs. While the public continued debating in comment sections, behind-the-scenes contracts were being scrutinized, meetings were hastily convened, and reputations quietly reassessed, all out of the spotlight but with very real consequences for everyone involved.
I mean, she's probably emotional about it, so I'm not going to take it with too much anything. And I do hope people give her a little bit of...
While fans debated every rumor and headline, something far quieter and far more serious was unfolding behind the scenes. This is the side of the story viewers rarely see. The urgent phone calls, the emergency Zoom meetings, the sudden shift from "we're thrilled about this partnership" to "we need to pause and rethink." Sponsors don't require a full investigation to grow concerned. All it takes is a cloud of uncertainty. And at that moment, uncertainty hung thick around Sabalenka's name, shaping decisions and anxieties that the public would never witness.
You talk about the power of social media to help tell your story, but do you think at the end of the day you're still a little bit misunderstood for who you are?
No, I think nowadays people know me as a player and as a person. Like, I feel like people know that, okay, of course she's aggressive, she's passionate, she's focused, and she's fighting for her dream, but also, of course, she's fun and she's nice, she's chill, and she's a completely different person. So I think now people knows me. Maybe like that little situation after French Open, some people don't really understand the intensity of everything, and that you lose the final of the biggest tournament, and then you go to the media straight away, and you're so frustrated, so pissed on yourself, and you're just trying to figure what just happened, and you don't think clean, and then you make this comment, and people go they forget completely about who you are the rest of the time.
Inside the corporate world, controversy rarely comes with a wait-and-see option. Companies move fast to guard their reputation, often protecting their brand long before they start searching for the full story. Because of that, several partnerships quietly hit the brakes. Marketing campaigns that were ready to roll out suddenly stopped, and social media posts featuring her were quietly taken down without any clear explanation. To the public, it looked like nothing unusual had happened. But behind closed doors, the atmosphere felt tense and uncertain. There was no dramatic announcement saying a deal was over. Instead, the reaction was far more subtle. Support slowly cooled, distance began to grow, and confident backing turned into cautious silence. And sometimes, that silence sends a stronger message than any official statement ever could. In the business world, when things start feeling uncomfortable, it usually means someone is preparing to step away. As that tension kept growing around her, the difference between the two athletes became clearer than ever.
See someone fail and take it as the main thing, So after that, I also had to sit back and reflect on everything and apologize and make sure that people understand my point, that it was just, I was over emotional, I was completely wrong. So after that also took me a little while to explain myself a little bit better. But now I think people understand me even better. And also it was a tough lesson, but it helped me a lot in so many different ways. And right now I don't feel like people still misunderstand me. I feel like now they know me even better.
While one side was struggling with unanswered calls and sponsorship deals suddenly put on hold, the other handled the moment in a completely different way. As the spotlight grew brighter and the pressure around Aryna Sabalenka kept intensifying, Coco Gauff responded in a way that surprised almost everyone watching. She said absolutely nothing. There were no emotional messages, no cryptic tweets, and no dramatic Instagram statements written in capital letters, just complete silence. And oddly enough, that silence carried more weight than any post she could have shared. Fans were waiting for a reaction, and reporters were eager to capture even the smallest comment. Most people expected either a heartfelt response or a sharp comeback, but Coco chose a much calmer path. The next morning she simply arrived at practice like it was any normal day. The same headphones were on, the same focused look on her face, and the same determined energy in her routine. Soon, a simple photo of her walking into the training facility spread across social media and went viral almost instantly. It didn't even need a caption. People online created their own. People quickly began describing her with phrases like "she's locked in," "she's not here for the drama," and "class over chaos." In that moment, the story surrounding the situation started to change. Instead of being viewed as just another athlete caught in the middle of controversy, Coco Gauff began to look like the calm presence holding everything together, the mature voice in the room who refused to get dragged into the noise. In a world where reactions usually fuel the headlines, her decision to stay quiet made her stand out even more. Commentators started highlighting her composure during broadcasts, and fans praised the level of maturity she showed under pressure. Even people who had never closely followed her career before suddenly started paying attention to how she was carrying herself. It wasn't loud or dramatic, but it carried real impact. And when compared with the uncertainty that seemed to surround Aryna Sabalenka, Coco's steady attitude made her appear completely unshaken. While she stayed focused on improving her game, the court of public opinion had already begun forming its verdict. Once the contrast between the two became obvious, the conversation across social media started shifting in a major way. At the beginning, it simply felt like a debate, with fans split into two sides arguing back and forth. But slowly, the tone began to change. The more people watched Coco Gauff stay calm, focused, and completely unbothered, the more the silence surrounding Aryna Sabalenka started to feel uneasy to some observers. Neutral viewers began leaning in one direction, and longtime supporters quietly started asking questions. Comment sections that once looked evenly divided suddenly appeared heavily tilted. At the same time, older clips and interviews involving Sabalenka began circulating online again. None of them proved anything on their own, but when people stitched those moments together, words like pattern and attitude started appearing in conversations. Whether fair or not, perception often shapes reality in the public spotlight. Once a narrative begins forming, it spreads across the internet faster than facts can catch up. The shift in energy became obvious. Posts praising Coco were collecting thousands more likes than messages defending Sabalenka. Fan pages gradually changed their tone, and memes started flooding timelines, some supportive, some harsh, and many simply highlighting how differently the two athletes were handling the pressure. At that stage, the discussion wasn't really about tennis ability anymore. It had turned into a conversation about character and how someone behaves when every camera is watching and everything feels like it's falling apart. And just when it seemed like the internet had already delivered its verdict, several influential voices decided to enter the conversation. What began on fan pages and in comment sections quickly grew too large to ignore. Former players, analysts, and respected figures in the sport started sharing subtle remarks during interviews and on social media, often hinting at their perspective without directly naming either athlete. Discussions about respect on and off the court, and the responsibility that comes with being a role model, began appearing more frequently in the public dialogue, and even without anyone directly calling names, most people understood exactly who those comments were about. Several respected voices in the sport began openly praising Coco Gauff for the calm and professionalism she showed throughout the situation, describing her as a powerful example of leadership despite her young age. Others spoke in a more careful tone, reminding audiences that moments of frustration can sometimes be misread or taken out of context. Still, the overall message remained clear. How an athlete handles pressure can matter even more than how they perform during it. For Aryna Sabalenka, that growing conversation was far from comforting. Every vague quote, every subtle remark, and every no comment from people close to her only deepened the sense that she was facing the situation alone. Even those who avoided picking a clear side focused their remarks on ideas like accountability, transparency, and respect within the sport. And when those values become the center of the discussion,